Hey guys, we're in this series right now called In Pursuit, and we're talking about what God is doing right now, right here where we're at. And one of the things that God does is He pursues us. In fact, that's exactly what we're talking about this weekend. That God comes after us, that He finds us where we're at, regardless of what we're doing, regardless of where we are, regardless of where we've been, He comes and finds us. So what does that look like in our lives today? Well, a couple of months ago, we had a family that came forward and offered to donate a car. Wanted to know if we had somebody that was in need of a car. They had inherited one, and they had one then that they no longer needed. And so they were interested in connecting with a family that may be in need. They had been blessed, they had been given much, and they wanted to give back in return. And so we acted as the intermediary. We played the connector, and there was a family that we were aware of that just so happened to be in need of a car. And I love how you talk about things that God does as He comes after us, as He pursues us. There are moments where we sit there going, coincidence? I don't think so. In fact, the Bible is full of moments that just so happen, of situations that take place where you sit there going, really? Is that possible? And this was one of those, where there was a family in need, needing a car, and there was a family that had one and they wanted to pass it on. And so we were able to make that connection. And just that itself was one of those moments where you sat there going, God, you provide, you come after us, you make it known that you're in the middle of this. Sometimes it's explicit. Sometimes it's known that this was God, and sometimes it's implicit, where we have to look and see what it is that God's doing. Well, if it was just that part of the story, it would be very implicit. But the story continues, and it's very explicit that God was right in the middle of this. So the connection was made between the two families, and the car was passed on, and a couple of weeks later, the individual, the family that donated the car, the son of that family who'd been driving it, was working for a local restaurant. Well, there was another restaurant not too far away in the same chain that was needing some assistance, and so he got moved there temporarily to help through this season they were going through. Business was booming, they needed a little bit more assistance, and so he goes there. Well, the first day he drives into the parking lot, he looks over and he sees his old car. And so he walks into the restaurant and starts to get to know a few people, and after a couple of weeks, finally gets the nerve up to ask, hey, whose car is that out there? Well, wouldn't you know, it just so happens that the family that received the car, one of the individuals in that family worked at this restaurant where this guy got transferred to help in this season. And they were able to connect. They hadn't known each other before, but now in the middle of this restaurant, there was an embrace and a thank you. And the observation that God was right in the middle of this situation as He was making the connection and gave them then the opportunity to meet each other, to thank each other, and to understand how He was working in the middle of all of it. God's hand was there. He was coming after each one of these families. The ones that gave the car, to see God's hand in the middle of it, the ones that received the car, and to be able to connect them in a way where you just stand there going, God, you are awesome. See, He's around, He's working, He's active in your life, in my life, right now, today, just the way that He has been from the very beginning of time, all the way up until this moment. God comes after us, and He shows Himself to us if we're watching. He pursues us where we're at. So how is He pursuing you? How has He shown Himself? Share your story with me, and I want to share it with everybody else so we can continue to stand in awe of an awesome God who's at work today. See you Sunday.